Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. It's time to experience what's possible. So, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are a couple of the amazing authors of our newest book that's out today called Brave Kids, Short Stories to Inspire Our Future World Changers. Oh my gosh, this is volume 3, you guys. I'm going to give you the close-up view of that beautiful bear. I want to introduce Susie and Carrie to you today, but first, a huge shout out to Kelly Kashula, KJ Kashula, who is the lead author of this award-winning Brave Kids book series. Kelly, you had a massive mission and vision for this book and for the whole series, and I'm so grateful for that big vision. The community of amazing people, two of whom you're going to meet today, are stellar expert authors who have been around a minute and really said yes to wanting to write another level kids story. So big thank you to Kelly, big congratulations today, and to both of you. So I have Susan Thompson with me. She's an author and cowgirl and writes about her experience with wild Mustang orphans. Susie is back for a story that is returning with her characters in volume 3. And Carrie Freshour is an author, licensed clinical social worker, and trauma-informed leadership coach who integrates human design and proven strategy to help individuals and teams break cycles, implement change, and lead with purpose. Welcome, ladies. Congrats today.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
I am so happy to talk with both of you today. All right, Susie, let's start this party off with you. You wrote a beautiful chapter called Sundance, Time for Training. And Sundance, we've followed Sundance through all of the Brave Kids books. Thank you for being back with that. What's the most important thing you want to share with our listeners today about this story for you?
Well, when I first took on this project, it was how to be brave. And it was all about being brave. And so when I dug inside myself and tried to figure out a time when I had to be brave, it would be out working with horses. I've been a horse person for most of my life. And some of the things that you have to do with the horses is connect with them and get them to listen to what you have to say. And an orphan wild Mustang is a little Mustang that was taken off the reservation because their mothers were captured and they were left all by themselves. And I'd like to bring a little bit of awareness to that. And also I'd like to bring awareness to a horse rescue called Heartstrings for Horses. And they rescue these little babies and they take them to an arena and they give a shot of an injection to the mares and they become a host mare. So they create milk and they get to save these babies. And so we follow Sally and Sundance, and Sally adopts Sundance, and she needs to be brave to get out there and start working with him because he's a wild Mustang. And some of the shenanigans they get into, it makes it a comical story too. And I just want people to know that you have to dig deep and just trust yourself and be brave.
I love that. And thanks for your passion for this cause that you've been helping us be aware about throughout these stories. I didn't realize, I think that's the first time I've heard you talk about the injection for the mare so they can actually feed the baby horses. That's pretty amazing. What else do you want people to know about that organization?
Well, the babies can be they can be as young as a day old, and these women that run this organization, they just can't stand for that to be happening. Just like myself, they have a passion for little baby horses and horses, and they do really good in the community. They have things like a Christmas wreath auction, and they have fundraisers that they do for themselves that are really nice to go to the farm and see how they work with these baby horses. And just to be able to see a little baby horse that a day ago was an orphan and scared to death and being chased into a great big truck and not knowing what's going to happen to him or his friends, and then having this organization there to give them a chance at life.
Yeah,
So
wow.
that's
Tell me the name of it one more time, please.
Heartstrings for Horses. It's in
Heartstrings for
Granite Falls,
Horses.
Washington.
Granite Falls, Washington. All right, we'll put some information down below in the chat for you guys so you can click and find out more about it. Susie, thank you for being back. Thanks for saying yes to this whole project and for your beautiful chapter.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Laura.
So, Carrie, how about you? What's the most important thing you want us to know about your beautiful chapter? This one is called Howling to Be Heard, a story about courage, understanding, and finding your voice. And you are also back with we call them returning stories, you guys. So thank you for that. What do you want people to know about your theme?
Oh, well, thank you. I'm honored to be a part of it. And I think when we write these stories, I think I talk for a lot of our co-authors, there's parts of us that heal, the little inner child pieces, and they really believe these books, and will shout forever from the rooftops. These books are more than just for the kids who are reading or listening. It's so much for the people reading them and getting them out into the world as well. And simply stated, my why is there's also so much of us that we hold invisibly that no one knows about that we are struggling with, and we don't know the words for those things. They don't look the same as if we might, need a wheelchair, or if we might need support in another externally facing way. But when we need it from the inside out and it doesn't show as clearly as some of the others might see, that causes a lot of big mixed up feelings, and we hold those feelings inside. And I think there's so much beauty in those mixed emotions and feelings and how we get them out into the world. And so, how do we navigate the opinions, the rules, the judgments, the experience along the way? And even if we do things a little differently or need a little extra time or a little more sensitive to things because of the way we do things. And I think that comes from my own experience as a child who learned a little differently, but didn't really realize that till later, who experienced some of her own childhood trauma and then lived through multi-generational things. They're called adverse childhood experiences. And that's really the core of what I've kind of been passionate about and lived my life to really understand, to heal within, but also heal on the outside and help others along the messy middle of the journey. I'm a mom of a kid that learns different, and this story. This time, Sarah, she's a brave, neurodivergent 9-year-old girl navigating school and friendship and sensory overload and a world that often misreads her cries for connection as defiance or a problem or behavior challenge or other things that don't sound as elegant. And so in this story, she growls not because she's being difficult, but because she hasn't found her words yet and her journey to be heard. I know we all learn differently, and we learn a lot about what our kids really need from us, not through necessarily a big old conversation and the words we might want to hear. We hear them through actions and behaviors and the other ways they know to communicate. And so that's my why.
Wow. Yeah. That's a pretty awesome why. What great awareness. And both of you, thank you so much. I'm loving listening to your whys. These beautiful authors, you guys, have been around a minute, first of all, and they're not just any authors writing for kids. They've really devoted these stories from a place of expertise and decades of wisdom. And so I always say about you guys, this, you ain't no ordinary kids author, right? And this book, when I look through um, where y'all have been and what you've done and the topics you've devoted your lives to, I just want to remind people what an incredible gift this book and all of the books are. So thank you both for being who you are that way. Carrie, I'm going to stay with you for this next question. How has that process been, writing for kids? What has that meant for you?
Hmm. That has been a little bit of an emotional roller coaster, if I'm being super honest. We as adults have to go outside of our comfort zone. And so for me, I started with some life experience and then some wise leaders and mentors along the way who then led me to a career of psychology and human development and trauma informed. What? ACE aware, what? And ACE aware is these adverse childhood experiences. And I learned about it, gosh, more decades ago. And we're now hearing about it more today. Because, guys, it takes that long for things to kind of work its way through and for us to understand. And so for me, it's been all those ways I learned for myself. And then now I'm putting that out onto paper for a child and for whoever might be reading that book, if it's not the child themselves, really, for all of us, for those inner children, for those, let's talk about the hard stuff. Because, guys, we're all brave. We all have such brave, courageous stories. And I think my favorite part about this writing has been across the country, literally, meeting all these co-authors that have brave stories, have said stories just like mine. I'm not, special in that way. We're all uniquely special in that. And along the way for me, that was a little bit of an emotional roller coaster. I didn't realize writing these stories were gonna deepen a level of my own healing, and also bring up some feelings. And I was like, whoa, there you are. They don't always tell us that that's going to happen. And then while we're doing this, we plan these books years in advance, months in advance of the day like today where we publish. And in that comes life. And so when you're writing and trying to pour it all out there, I don't know, I feel like sometimes we go through what I think others have called, and I've tagged along spiritual warfare. And when we're bringing all these brave worlds into the world, we're tested a little bit in our bravery and our courage and our keep going throughness. And it has been all of that, which is a gift that was invisible. I didn't know that was on what I signed up for. When I signed up to work with you and all the others, that was, a silver lining that hasn't always been easy, but it's sure been beautiful. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much also for expressing that piece of things. We know that you don't totally know what you're signing up for around here, but we like to support the process and what it's big potato stuff to us over here, this writing and sharing the brave words. And that's kind of why I wanted to ask you guys the question, because I keep hearing little snippets of how it's been. And I realize the ripple, which, it's one thing to say yes to these projects, but then you get in and you kind of have an idea and you could turn around, run in the other direction, but you all are like, nope, I'm sticking with it. I'm going to move through. I'm going to be giving myself a gift by doing that, but then also the gift you all are giving in your chapters. Um, and I think both of you have said it already. I know, Carrie, you said it. You guys, these stories are not just for kids. Like, I picked this up after having already read it and started to read a couple of the stories. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm just going to settle in with this book and, I don't know, connect with my inner child for a few minutes and see where the pieces are in here that resonate. And oh, it's so for you if you're an adult too, and or if you're a grandparent, a teacher, a mentor, right? um Susie, I'm going to come over to you for this same question. Like, how's this writing process been for you? What has it meant to you to write for kids?
Well, I have to sort of take it from Carrie, because that was a really good thing that she said about it being where it touches you and it's not just for the kids. But I have to say that most of my life I've spent working with kids and horses. And I started with a little 9-year-old girl that had a real bad home life. And I call them kids at risk, but they're only at risk because their parents are doing what they shouldn't do. The kids weren't really, it just kind of, and I started her with the horses and going out there and working with them and trying to be brave and do some things that might be a little uncomfortable to her. And and then she ended up being, at 20 years old, she ended up being the rodeo queen of the fair and where she lives. And it just seeing that and being able to write about her experience and what we learn when we're out there working with these animals. And it just is so much fun to sit down and get inside myself and try to put those feelings on paper. And it's just so exciting to be able to do that and then read back and then get the book in the mail and just go, wow, this is so cool. And Laura, you've been just nothing but a wealth of information for me. I was not being an author until I hooked up with you, and you've taught me so much. And I can call myself a best-selling award-winning author, and it's all because of Brave Healer Productions and you and Kelly, and it's just been an amazing experience for me, and I thank you so much for having me on board.
My pleasure. I'm so happy that you are authoring now in your life and that you're moving that out into the world in a bigger way. I'm having this beautiful visual of your rodeo queen, and how cool is this, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that is amazing. All right, I have this question for both of you today, that I love. I'll give you a moment to think about it, and I'm gonna start with you, Susie. But many times I think back to myself at a younger age, actually lots of younger ages and stages, and I'm like, what message would I give her? So I'm gonna ask it to you gals today. Susie, if you could talk to the younger you, what would your message of encouragement be? Any age, no rules here.
Well, that's kind of an easy one. It's I think I would tell myself that I need to trust in myself and believe in what my heart says and what my heart wants to do, and who I am inside, and to trust in myself and believe in everything that I want to say and everything that I want to do. And just I at one time wrote a little story about myself, and it said that I didn't really know what I would be like if I didn't have the abuse as a child. Then who would I be? And I wrote that story and I gave it to some friends of mine, and they said, "You are that person." And that was just such a shock to me. And so I think I would take that story and give it back to myself at a different age and say, "See, you are."
See?
Yeah,
You
see?
did it.
Yep.
That's so cool. That's a great way to think about that story, and how cool, that people would say that. It's like, you are that person. Like you
It was amazing.
I love that. And I love listening to all the different co-author interviews have been so amazing. All the different ways you guys are answering that question with such kindness and love to yourselves. Like, amen, right? Like, this is, yeah.
Amen.
Sometimes I feel like we spend our whole lives getting to that. And I love it when I see it in all of you. Okay, Carrie, same question. So if you were going to go back and talk to your younger self, any age or stage, what would that message of encouragement be?
Such a beautiful question. And Susan, I loved hearing your answer. It just on so many levels. It's so, so true. And I love the activity of writing ourself letters. I recommend that to my clients all the time, and I do it myself. I practice it at different seasons. I think it's a great therapeutic moment. If I had to go back, I think if I look in general back on like what my consistent message would be, similar to what you're saying, Susan, that intuitive, quiet the noise. Take
Hmm.
time to quiet the noise and really listen to what your body is saying. My signals got all mixed up as a kid, so I didn't know. I had adults in my world that said that the truth was one thing, and I knew that that wasn't the truth. So then, am I a liar or the honest? Oh my goodness, man! I remember being in second grade, and little, and you're like, well, what's the truth? Because I just witnessed not the truth, or it's the stuff we talk about is confusing. And if I could go back and do anything, I would say quiet the noise. Quiet the noise and listen to that internal voice. And if there was one magic thing I could do for so many of us, including my dear younger me, keep some of the childlike. Laura, you and I had a sweet little email exchange not too long ago that kind of hits on this. And it's when's the last time you danced? And when's the last time you were just a kid and you went outside and said it's raining? And I kind of just feel like going, yeah, I think that childlike wonder, here I am at 50, and man, I'm trying to grasp it backwards. So, dear younger me, at all of especially the mamas out there, the women, the parents, the adults too, like quiet the noise and relax a little and just let the childlike instinct and wonder have a place. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, gals. Carrie, if a parent, grandparent, teacher, mentor, friend is listening today, why should they buy this book for their kid they love?
It's like the gift that keeps on giving. It's a conversation starter for the topics that are hard to talk about. It's the missed moment from a few weeks ago that you wanted to mention to your child because you thought maybe, but you didn't know how. And now you got a little partner alongside. And for the young person reading it themselves, who may be just reading it themselves, take it as a gift of a whole lot of arms wrapped around you with a big hug. I mean, it really does. I mean, that might feel silly and woo woo and like whatever. It's real. It's just a little bit of an exhale. And if you get it one chapter at a time, that's one big old reason I think that transcends age and really goes to whoever is hearing the stories. And every one of these authors has provided additional resources in some way to just keep learning and saying we're building a community of warriors who are brave and courageous. And who doesn't want to be a part of that?
Yes, 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 yes.
Mhm.
Okay, Susie, what do you want to add to that? Why should they buy this book?
Well, I would like to say that uh, it's they're short stories, and so you can get your child involved in the short stories. And all of these beautiful stories come from authors of Brave Healers. And we are healers. Almost every one of the authors has something that in their life that they healed from. And so they have so much wisdom to give to these kids that are reading this book. And they can read between the lines and understand what it's like to be brave and what they need. And all of us are experienced from that. So we're passing on the tools that we used to deal with things in life. But yet we make them a really nice story, an interesting story. And we've been taught to do that too. So
Yes,
yeah.
you have done that so brilliantly. Both of you, all the co-authors. Oh my gosh, this gorgeous book. And a sneak peek, just one sneak peek inside, you guys. Like, who does not want to stare at this
And
beautiful
there's Sundance.
spread, right? Yes. I opened this up earlier today and I just couldn't look away. Like there's so much to discover in some of these illustrations inside. Love it, love it, love it.
Kelly's
Um,
brilliant with how she puts, oh,
Yeah.
right?
She literally pulls words into a vision.
Yes. Yes, she does. Oh my gosh. All right, you guys, brave kids. I can't wait for you to grab your copy. Hop over to Amazon today and grab it for a kid that you love. Carrie, Susan, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everybody. This is more than a book. It is a generous expert community. So come on down to the show notes because Carrie and Susan are both hooked up with their links there. Go explore what they're up to. It is a lot of awesomeness, you guys. They're there to answer a question and give you a little bit more information, carry on the conversations that we started today. And lastly, today, everyone, remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.